As a caretaker, it's very interesting. You see somebody feeling sick, nauseousness, fatigue. But when you become a patient, wow, does that open up your eyes? Like, now I understand what fatigue they meant. My father's a thriver. He's on maintenance chemo. He's 7 years in. He's still running around with all the energy, it's pretty much of a miracle because his oncologist gave him the statistics at the beginning. He's like, you have 15% chance of surviving this. My brother, same thing, survivor of a different kind of cancer. He ended up with a tumor behind his nose. He's doing great. He's actually almost 9 years out. I was always making sure and screening for stomach cancer since my father was diagnosed as stage 4. Last summer, I started having issues eating food. I wouldn't be able to do large meals. I would get full real easily, but I kind of like threw that off that it was stress or something else. But then I lost about 15 pounds in about a month and a half. I went to my GI who had done endoscopics before, was like, we just recently saw you 2 years ago. It's okay. You're good. You're fine. You're young. You're okay. This must be something else. So I went for a second opinion because I knew something was wrong. So I went to a second opinion and he ended up doing a stat endoscopic and they did a biopsy and they noticed I had something there, sent it off to biopsies and it came out positive. We started doing all the diagnostic tests. We found out that it spread to the lymph nodes, no other organ, but once it's spread to the lymph nodes, it's considered stage 4. We did 10 rounds of FlowFox. I had a good response to it. At that point, there is a possibility to do surgery if you have a good response. My oncologist encouraged me to get second opinions, which I did. And Mayo Clinic was like, no, we would do this for you if you keep responding. So I went off with Mayo. Mayo wanted me to do a round of HIPEC and they wanted to also peek and look and see how things were going. The original diagnosis that had noticed a couple nodules in my abdomen had all disappeared. So I did HIPEC with them and then we were going to move over to surgery for stomach removal, but they paused because they were like, let's work on the lymph nodes. And they asked me if I was comfortable to do chemoradiation. Chemoradiation was 15 rounds. Again, it seemed that it did work. It shrunk. And then we were going to move to surgery. But right when we were doing all the scans for surgery, it shows up that I might have some bone lesions or something of concern in my spine and pelvis. But we are now investigating about that and seeing if it is benign or if it is cancerous. So at this moment, surgery's been put on pause and I am back to systemic chemo in the meantime because it's been too long that I've been off of systemic chemo. So I'm back on FlowFox. It's interesting now being in it, knowing the both sides. And we still Zoom once a week, all of us. We share notes. How did you deal with nauseousness? How did you deal with this other thing? So it's been kind of helpful in that factor. And they're learning a lot from me that they didn't know either. Because I am now at this time, 2024, technology advancements. I tell them about biomarkers. They're like, what? We never got told that. I'm like, yeah, I know. I actually did genetic testing first, just to see if I had any mutations that could lead to that, and nothing showed up. My father never did that because in South America, they don't do that actually. My brother on the other side too, he hasn't. Genetic testing and biomarkers are all like, there really isn't a connection at this moment. I believe wholeheartedly that there's just something we haven't found yet. When you have a relative that has stomach cancer, that the screening can be done a bit more. I went to a genetic counselor. We did all the genetic markups, but that again changes every couple of years. So they told me, they're like, come back in 5 years and do this again. And exactly at 5 years is when I got diagnosed. Also, my gastroenterologist, same thing. Once we did the upper endoscopic and colonoscopy, he's like, another 3-4 years. Don't worry about it. But in my mind, I'm like, somebody, at least family members that runs cancer, I should have been looked at more carefully. It's ever changing. Don't worry about the statistics because they're old. Technology is advancing and changing, but that it does become a full-time job. You have to be aggressive and advocate for yourself hard. There are support groups that will help out. Do your research, join advocacy groups, learn what questions to ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions, any and all questions. And if you have a good support system of family members that can help you, even better.